Hello, assalamu alaikum everybody. Hope you're all safe, sound, and healthy. And if you are listening to the sound in the background, I'm sorry, but as I've said in my previous episodes, it is too hot. It's a bloody sauna here, okay? It's too hot. The AC is just adding to the humidity, so I've got double fans on, the ceiling fan and the pedestal fan. So I'm sorry if you're hearing this in the background, but I can't help it. So basically, now the Supreme Court has united against the military and the establishment, you can say. Basically, I know people keep on and on referring to the military as the establishment, but as I've said over and over again, the military may be a large chunk of the establishment, but it is not entirely the establishment. The establishment is formed of not just military personnel, but also retired civilian personnel and officers from within the government and government agencies. Okay, so back to this point at hand, and that is that a 9-bench has sat in order to in order to look into this petition, because it was Latif Kosa and Itizaz Ehsan and Imran Khan. They had advised or requested Chief Justice Bandial that he should please, not delay this any further. So although he has been unceremoniously removed, but it is said that I think this is basically just before he left, he created this 9-bench trial or hearing for the petition, and it is composed of justices who seemingly were always known to be at odds with each other when it came to the interpretation of law or their interpretation of law and the way they see things. So this might have been a bit of a shock to the establishment, or especially to the coalition government, who think they know so much but they actually know jack shit. So this was, a sort of a slap in the face of the illegal government of Pakistan and the illegal activities of the military. So this petition, if I may remind you, was basically a petition challenging military courts, because as per constitution, military courts no longer exist. They were given special provision, if you remember, after the attack on the Army Public School. And after that, once that investigation and the martial courts were when they had the trial and everything was done and over with, then after that the constitution was returned back to its original state, which meant there were going to be no martial courts, no military courts for any civilians or civilian cases, or in any case, being a democratic constitution. So they have challenged that. And at the same time, if you read, although to be very honest, I do not like Express Tribune, and I stopped reading it for a very long time, because I noticed that it's been very biased instead of having objective journalism. But they actually wrote a detailed article in which they, in very great detail, quoted former Chief Justice Khwaja. And so I think, it would be a good reading, in which he, in very great detail and very openly, challenged the military's power, the abuse of authority, the abuse of power, and in which he had very openly stated that it being part of the establishment, it is a state within the state, if not referred to as a deep state. It could be an entity on its own, and which he referred to as the establishment. And then he also very openly said that they have been controlling land and businesses, and they are also controlling politics from behind the scenes, from the shadows, and that we need to now, once and for all, decide what our status as a country is. Are we a country that has democracy and a powerful democratic constitution, or are we a country that will forever be in the shadows of dictatorship? So that is basically an very openly uh, a very openly stated charge or challenge against the military, against the establishment by the former Chief Justice and the the elites of the judicial circle, of the bar. So this is now put into question, and right now it is being heard. So let us see what they do. The problem is, my problem is that, as we know, the Supreme Court has been constantly challenging the military and the government, and all the illegal activities, but nobody's listening to them because we are basically in an unofficial dictatorship. Now the thing is, how will they force them to listen? I do not know. I know that the lawyers plan to move on with their movement. They did that with Imran Khan prior to the elections, which Imran Khan won, if you remember, and they're planning to do it again, with Imran Khan, basically to show their support for Imran Khan, because they do know that he's the only one who has really been working for total freedom and total apoliticization. You understand? Neutralization of all concerned organizations, institutions, and departments in the government. So let's see what happens. We will not be able to find out anything right now because it will go on for a few hours. This is the debate. It's not just a hearing, it's a challenge, it's a debate, it's a hearing, it's all three in one, as we know. So the 9-member bench, listening to this petition, challenging this petition, debating on this petition, especially to, as I said, my main concern is, even if they do reach a conclusion, how to make sure that it's implemented, how to make sure that the army listens, how to make sure that the establishment listens. So that is what I would like to see. What do they actually do? How will they make their decision to make sure that it is implemented? Now, if we come to America's activities, you can see very clearly by the fact that Modi was officially invited for a specific agenda, a specific reason by the American government, the American president. And although the lawmakers and certain senators in America, like Ilhan Omar and others, they have boycotted Modi, but still, that will not make much of a difference with the president himself having invited him. But yes, it also, it goes back to what I've been constantly saying, that although India is allies with Russia and Pakistan is allies with America, but have you noticed how India and America have actually always worked together? And America never seems to have a problem with India's alliance with Russia. But America always has a problem with Pakistan's friendship with Russia or with China. They are our neighbors. We have to be in good terms with them. They're our neighbors. But America, we don't seem to have a problem with America always aligning with India when it comes to military alliance, or when it comes to working with Israel to train and work with the Indian army on this new genocide that has been going on in Kashmir. This was, thanks to the training of the Israel forces. The fact that the Israel Mossad went to India to train them on how to commit genocide in Kashmir and how to steal their land and how to demolish their homes in exactly the same way as the Zionists, who I would refer to as the original Nazis. Okay, the original Nazis were the Jews, actually, from what I can see what's going on. You can call them Zionists now, but the truth is that they are no different from Nazis, and I would say that they are the original Nazis. So they, the way that they have acted in Palestine, that is how they're teaching India to act with Kashmir. And on the other side, America and Israel are, just dying to get their hands on Kashmir so that they can make it their permanent base, where they can sit and constantly wage war with China, although they know they're going to be at the losing end, But still, who cares? Because after all, warmongering is the biggest financial resource for America. Going and destroying cities and then rebuilding cities. That is how they earn money. That's how America has been earning its revenue. First, it was through weaponry. Now, after weaponry, they saw that, hang on, when we destroy places and then we, offer companies tender, and we win those tenders to reconstruct those cities, look at the amount of money and kickbacks we can get. So that is America, that is the unique identification of America, and it's how it earns its finance, how it gets its revenue. So the fact that India has played or tried to play a vital role in Afghanistan. Afghanistan seems to very conveniently forget that. They talk about third-party interference, but the truth is the actual third-party interference that has been ongoing was India and America. And obviously that is to the detriment of Pakistan's interests, because Pakistan has long foregone its interests every single time America comes in. Remember, America does not have allies. Every time America suggests alliance with a country, understand that the American government is basically cornering that country towards its doom. So there are no allies of America. Okay, there are only those who work with America, like India, and there are those who America uses and exploits and makes sure that they do not develop and that they remain under American colonization, and those are your so-called allies. So yeah, this visit of Modi, if anything, proves my point that why is it that India is allies with Russia, but it's okay for India to have an actual alliance with America, but it's not okay for Pakistan to have any sort of trade or any sort of alliance or any sort of partnership with Russia. So that is the hypocrisy that you can see very clear, crystal clear. And you can also see the agenda, the same old agenda that we keep on talking about, that Pakistan was initially made just to be a buffer state between Afghanistan and India, and that it was promised to India that Pakistan would never be independent, but it would actually be an autonomous state under federal India. But Quaid-e-Azam did not let that happen. He was aware of what they were trying, and he very neatly got it out from underneath them. And since then, they had been promising each other that, okay, let's just wait another 10 years, let's just wait another 20 years. But we have lasted 70 odd years. So America right now in desperate need to fulfill British agenda of stripping Pakistan of its sovereignty, of its independence. You can see what it's doing, and we will now realize it even further when they move on to make more drastic moves and to take more drastic measures. Now, why is it a big deal also for the Indians protesting against Modi's visit, and the human rights organizations and the senators and the lawmakers? Well, simply it's because Modi was sanctioned before he became prime minister, if you know. It's the same kind of sanction that Australia is trying to figure out how to tie up the illegal government of Pakistan in those individuals responsible for human rights violations and constitutional violations of Pakistan. That they're trying to tie them down, and those sanctions is that same sanction that they put on Modi once when he was not yet prime minister, and that was because of Gujarat. People seem to have forgotten, but the world has not forgotten. India has not forgotten the massive genocide, the massacre committed in Gujarat against Muslims. The fact that he is a fanatic Nazi Hindu, the fact that he is an extremist Hindu, and the fact that he and his party have been known for initiating violence against Christians, against other lower castes of Hindus, against Muslims, and against even Parsis, anybody who's not in part of their group, you can say, or their caste or their religion. If you remember, they have stripped and raped nuns, and they have raped Muslim women, they have killed and tortured and killed loads and loads of men and boys, and so this is, this is something that has been, this is something that basically he should have been put into criminal court and in the international criminal court system, and he should have been punished forever. But here he is. Once he became the prime minister, they had to withdraw the sanctions against him. So yes, this is why, again, we would talk about America and how America, any country's leader that does not really serve an interest with regards to his own country, that leader is America's friend. Any leader that works hard for the interest of their country is America's enemy. This is known amongst all the world leaders, and many have mentioned it. So yes, this is why actually Modi's visit, this is a state visit. He has been there many times, but this is the first state visit, which means the first official visit that has been granted him, invited by the President of America, and in which he will be given a state dinner and all that stuff. So yes, it is a big deal for all those who are concerned about human rights violations, concerned about America's hypocrisy and take on human rights violations, and concerned about about entertaining a murderer, basically a mass murderer. But then that's what America does. America has entertained Shabazz Sharif, America has entertained Zardari, albeit it might be, sometimes through back door, sometimes out in the open. But America has always entertained mass murderers and criminals of other countries. As I said, that is what serves American interest. So yes, that is why it's a big deal. Now, back to the judges of the Supreme Court. As we know, what people found surprising was that judges who basically do not get along well, do not see eye to eye, have been put together in the same bench, the 9-member bench, to work on the petition against military courts, regarding civilians. So the thing here is that there was something that I wondered if this was done, deliberately, if this was a strategy by the judges, though the judges are not that clever to do such a thing. It's more likely could be a strategy, amongst the politicians also, that okay, yeah, right, let them all get together. At the end they're going to dissolve everything themselves because they won't get along. So there are rumors about how they have already started arguing with each other, and some have said that they have dissolved the bench altogether. But I don't know. I think one cannot listen to or trust any of the news, even if it doesn't come from the mainstream media. One needs to wait and watch and see what's going on until the end. But yeah, this was a bit troubling for me when I found out that people thought this was a very good thing, that the Supreme Court is united and all. But seriously, as I said, I've always had my reservations against the judges as well. I do feel that the Supreme Court is vastly to blame for the position that Pakistan is in today. If the Supreme Court did not constantly try to abuse its authority or overuse its authority, just because Imran Khan was a person who respected the rule of law, because that has been his main motivation behind his movement, the rule of law. So just because this was a man who listened to the rule of law did not mean that the whole country has changed overnight and everybody's going to listen to you. You just shot yourself in the foot, and now you need to unshoot yourself, which is basically impossible. So I'm sorry, but as I said before, and I've said it time and again, I have no sympathy for the Supreme Court. I have no sympathy for the legal system in Pakistan, because, as I said, they are, I would say, they are heavily involved. They are to be blamed for where Pakistan is today. Back to America again, and what is America up to? This is the question I asked the Canadian government and embassy, and I'll be asking the American government and embassy as well. What the frack are you doing about the American citizens who are being tortured, who are being imprisoned illegally in Pakistan, suddenly they are no longer your citizens. Again, why the frack will anybody want to have an American passport if the American government cannot protect its own citizens? So American government is probably even worse than the Pakistani government when it comes to protection of their citizens. Or is it, as I've already said before, because America has sort of proved that time and again, is that maybe it considers only the white Caucasian species as Americans, and any other person who belongs to a different race or ethnicity is not considered American, despite whatever it is that it is documented on their passport and in their immigration reports, or I don't know. I don't know what to say, because as I see America silent. I see Britain silent. I see their people being tortured, being illegally detained, being illegally arrested, actually, being, and many of them are women. So is this what the Western world, this is their standards for women protection? This is their standards? I mean, come on, we all know America has never even allowed a single woman to become a president. Pakistan has had a female prime minister, not once, but twice at least. She came twice, not once. Bangladesh has got a female prime minister. India's had a female prime minister. So we're all much more advanced, it seems, compared to the Western world that talks about women empowerment and all. Then the Western world has never even had a female premier in their entire history. It's only New Zealand that has suddenly caught up with us. And so here I beg the question, what the hell is America doing about its citizens, its female citizens? What the hell are they doing about Khatija? She gets bail, and then again they're on to arrest her. All the other females who get bail, they're again looking for ways to arrest them again. They're arresting people over and over again over trumped up charges. The whole world is sitting up and noticing, but at the same time, it's so weird how the world is not doing anything. You have the UNO, you have the United Nations Human Rights High Commissioner. He is taking notice. What the hell do you mean by taking notice? I mean, what? Oh, you're too busy standing with Ukraine? Is that it? Yeah, okay. So I'm sorry I disturbed you right here. Go ahead and stand with the women of Ukraine. Oh, let me remind you, they're also Muslims. Yeah, maybe you need to back off of that too. And then on the other side, we've got the Human Rights Watch. Human Rights Watch, as usual, they have been massively protesting against whatever it is going on. But so weird, isn't it, how suddenly nobody's listening to them? It's an international organization. Nobody's listening to them. I have got only one government that I can see is actually doing something, but nowadays I don't even know how far they have gone, and that is the Australian government. But nowadays, as I said, I don't know much of what the Australian government is up to. Have they suddenly decided to just sidetrack the case? What is going on? But America, Canada, Britain, shame on you. Okay, shame on you. Yeah, that's why people like us, refused and rejected your passports. Yeah, because you see, at the end of the day, we are well aware of your hypocrisy. We're well aware of your two-faced dual diplomacy and your policies. And it's right now, right out in the open, the way you're allowing your people to be treated like this in another country, and suddenly you're calling it an internal matter. On the other hand, what I would like to say is that the women empowerment who were hired by the illegal government to start a smear campaign against Imran Khan's government, in which they deliberately created incidents and events and crime cases just to and they worked with the police. The police has always been under the illegal government. It doesn't matter that Imran Khan came into premiership. It did not matter at all, because everybody else in every other department were still working for the fifth columnists. In other words, for America's slaves and hunting dogs. And Zardari, I thought you were going to gouge the eyes out of the establishment and the army, saying that you're not going to let them come back into politics. But look at you. You're out there in Dubai sulking and licking your wounds. Nawaz Sharif is also just not being able to find a way in through, although he is trying to illegally reform the constitution so that he could be prime minister for a fourth time. You mofo, as if you haven't had enough. I mean, how much more is there left in this fucking country for you people to eat? And then we have the actual survey of international organizations with regards to Imran Khan, the fact that they have violated every single thing possible that they could think of just to get rid of one man. Their war against the public has proved futile. I mean, this is something again that I've kept on and on repeating. You cannot fight with the public of the mass of any nation. This is something that the USA and the UK and Canada and such countries have realized after centuries of failure. You cannot fight the mass. You cannot win a war against the mass. If the mass of the country suddenly decides to make war with you, you will always be at the losing end. If they suddenly decide to accept your challenge, you will always be at the losing end. And this time the Pakistani public has decided to accept the challenge of the establishment and the army, and in fact the public has counter-challenged all the government organizations, especially the establishment. And again, this is for the establishment and for the government organizations, this is not a war you can win. This is not even a battle you can win. You should have chosen wisely. You're messing with the wrong people again, because this time the people are now, to them, they're like, okay, so you dared mess with us. For the first time in our lives, we actually chose somebody to govern us, to represent us, and you just had to go and fuck it up for us. So yeah, the public, as I said before, the public is simmering, it's boiling, it's just waiting to explode. And if they explode, then the US will implode, the UK will implode, the establishment, the army of Pakistan, everybody is going to implode. Because as I said, warring with mass is a losing war. Okay, you just placed your bets very wrongly, very recklessly, and then you exposed yourself because you overestimated yourselves. You overestimated American plan. You're like, okay, the end has come, everything is sold out, everything is wrapped up, now we just have to come out and dance on the stage. Well, you just fell flat on your face. Yeah, and a little bit of development as promised on the Supreme Court. Well, the Supreme Court is obviously, they have, from what I've understood, they have decided against the military courts because, as we know, it goes against the Constitution. And obviously, the illegal government that has been trying its best to utilize military courts, which is again illegal. Rana SanaUllah certainly has, as I said before, it doesn't matter how many orders the Supreme Court gives, because this government is not Imran Khan. They're not going to listen to the Supreme Court. They're not going to listen to the judiciary. So Rana SanaUllah has flatly refused to accept the decision of the court. Not only that, when one of the journalists questioning Ishaq Dar was actually trying to ask about this objectively, Ishaq Dar actually slapped the journalist on the face. Oh, where is Maryam Aurangzeb's speech? Can you please bring it back and just repeat it for us, where she said in her press conference that we have never said or done anything to censor the media. We have always been friends with the journalists. We have never done anything to harm any journalist. We have never hit or hurt or harmed or tortured or imprisoned a journalist. Yeah. The latest survey has shown in great detail, and I'm not going to go into that great detail. The great detail can be found printed on their site, and as well as you can just check out the survey on the political parties' ratings in Pakistan. And basically, generally overall, Imran Khan is still extremely popular. If nothing else, he's become even more popular throughout the country. People's Party, as always, is popular only within those places in Sindh which basically belong to them. So basically they're slaves, the slaves who have no choice but to vote for them. Karachi has become more and more pro-PTI, pro-Imran Khan, especially the Urdu-speaking side, and that is because MQM has completely lost them, even though all three parties of MKM united, and even united or separately, they have lost. So Karachi is not at all interested in MKM anymore. So their stronghold has been broken. It was broken the first time around anyway, and they could never get it back. So obviously, as I said, northern areas have always been pro PTI. Punjab was the massively pro PTI, still is. Nawaz Sharif thought that he could regain Punjab, but the truth is the people of Punjab are already sick and tired and fed up of this family, that we just want them to be killed. We don't even want them to, disappear from our sight. We literally want them to be killed. We want them to be hanged, drawn, and quartered. To be very honest, this is the sentiments of the people of Punjab. The only people that you will see around Nawaz Sharif again are similar to Zardari's supporters, and that is the slaves and those who have benefited from under them and those who are related to them, one way or the other. Otherwise, massively, on a massive scale, Punjab is totally anti PMLN and anti anybody and everybody who's not PTI. It's as simple as that. So if the elections that they are now suddenly scrambling to start, if these elections take place, do understand one thing. If Imran Khan is not allowed to take part in the elections, people will not vote. You need to understand this, please, and keep this on the record, okay? People will not vote. Votes will be, as before, rigged, stolen. They will be fabricated, because this is how they have always won. This also you need to put on the record. PPP, PMLN, all these parties that have ever won the elections previously in Pakistan, they have never been fair and free elections, never. And because they know that the votes of the overseas Pakistanis are the votes that they literally cannot steal or fabricate or tamper with in any way. That is why they never allowed Imran Khan to finish the process of giving all voting rights to overseas Pakistanis. And that is one of the reasons they quickly ousted him, because he was on the verge of finalizing that as well. This was something that would be extremely detrimental to the establishment, to the army, as well as to the any government body that has been partaking in illegal processes within the country, especially during elections. So you need to please understand this, and you need to note it down. Mark my words. If the elections take place, and if any of these parties come into play, or if any coalition is formed again, whatever, if PTI is not a clear winner, then understand that the elections have been rigged. Also, read the Supreme Court. As I said, the formal decisions have not yet been handed out. It is still in debate. The case is still going on. But it is amidst this case that Rana SanaUllah suddenly makes this statement that we will object. We will never listen to any decision that will go against the military laws, military courts. But you need to understand that when they suddenly make these statements in between, there is usually behind it either a subtle blackmail to a certain judge, or a pressure upon an open pressure upon the judges, and at the same time it is also a threat. So basically, Rana SanaUllah is threatening the judges that they shouldn't dare to make any decision in light of the constitution, and that they should fall in with the government's stance. Also, we need to note that the 9-member bench has been reduced to 7-member bench, with Chief Justice Isa walking out and another judge walking out. So two justices have walked out of the bench, and the problem here is that it is illegal. It is illegal for any of the judges to leave the bench just like that, or to be made to leave. So again, that might create a problem or a loophole for those who would refuse to listen to any decision that is finally made once this case is over. And in this boiling heat, where we're all just looking for any excuse to explode. This is me signing out. Khuda Hafiz.